Welcome back. In today's episode of I'm Tired of Paying Grocery Store Prices for Food I Can Make at Home, we're making yogurt. Yogurt is basically just fermented milk, so this is actually really easy. Here's how mine turned out. It even sounds good. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you want to see more of my content. I'm using an Instant Pot, but if you don't have one, you can use a crock pot or a slow cooker on its lowest setting. As long as it doesn't heat your milk above 120 degrees Fahrenheit, it should be fine. If it does go above 120 Fahrenheit, it'll probably kill the yogurt bacteria, and you'll have to start over. Contrary to how the outside looked, I cleaned the inner pot with boiling water and vinegar to make sure everything is sterile. The last thing you want to do is introduce the wrong kind of bacteria into your milk and have it spoil instead of turning into yogurt. I'm starting with 1 gallon of whole fat milk, and because I'm using a no-boil method today, mine is fridge cold. Some people prefer to boil the milk first, then let it cool to under 120 degrees Fahrenheit, but the effort has never really seemed worthwhile to me. Boiling the milk would kill any bacteria that may be present, but it's pasteurized, so there shouldn't be anything in there in the first place. The other reason people boil their milk is to slightly denature the proteins, supposedly giving you a more firm yogurt at the end. You already saw how mine turned out. If it was any more firm, I'd have to eat it with a knife and fork. Add around 1 tablespoon of your favorite yogurt per liter of milk. You can use any kind of yogurt you want as long as it has live bacteria cultures, but try to avoid flavored yogurts if you can. Plain Greek works the best. I also added a little splash of vanilla because it makes almost everything taste better. If you wanted to add some sugar, honey, or sweetened condensed milk, you can, but I prefer to adjust it at the end instead. Whisk the yogurt into the milk until it's completely dissolved, then lock the lid in place, leaving the pressure valve open. Press the yogurt button once if you want to do 6 to 10 hours, or press it again to set it for 24. Giving the bacteria more time to work will give you a tangier yogurt at the end, and ensure the bacteria has enough time to act on this much milk. 24 hours later, and we've got yogurt. Kind of. The bacteria has finished working its magic, but there's a lot of leftover whey that we can still strain out. I'm using something that was marketed as a nut milk bag on Amazon, a large pot to collect the whey, and a tall strainer to hold everything in place. The last time I tried to make yogurt, I lined a strainer with cheesecloth. While this can work, I struggled to get the cheesecloth to stay in place, and I tried to use a rubber band around the top of the strainer to hold everything. Just as I finished filling the strainer with yogurt, the rubber band moved up far enough that it sent it flying off into my kitchen while I stood at ground zero for a yogurt explosion. Unfortunately, I wasn't recording at the time. These nut milk bags make things much easier. The only problem I had was finding out that each bag only held around half a gallon. If I had a second tall strainer, I would have just used a second bag, but I don't, so I put a plate over the top to cover the yogurt and refilled the strainer every few hours. If you're having to refill like I was, it's a good idea to take a spoon or a spatula and lightly ease the more solid yogurt off the inside of the bag now and then. As the whey drips out, the more solidified yogurt can condense on the sides of the bag, preventing the thinner yogurt from being able to strain properly. You can see a little bit of whey separated from the yogurt in the center of my strainer at the end, and that's okay. We're not trying to get all the way out, just enough to get the yogurt to your desired consistency. After 24 hours, I'm left with a rich, creamy Greek-style yogurt. You can eat it just like this, but I find there's sometimes small chunks of more condensed yogurt mixed through. I like to whisk mine for about a minute to bring it all together and make it nice and smooth. If you're going to add any sweeteners, flavorings, fruits, or syrups, now is a great time. I'm keeping mine fairly plain because I'll be using it to make frozen yogurt in my Ninja Creamy for some other videos on this channel. Now let's talk about whether this was worth doing. We started with 1 gallon of milk, which Google tells me is 3,900 grams, and our final yogurt weight after straining out the whey was 1,395 grams. The yogurt that I used as a starter, when it's not on sale, is $7 for 650 grams. That means that we made $15 worth of yogurt out of about $6 worth of milk. Or, if you prefer, we saved 60% of the cost by making it ourselves. Now, saving $9 might not seem like a lot at first, but if you have a household with a few kids and a couple of adults and you're going through a lot of yogurt, these savings are going to add up very quickly. For example, if your family goes through one 650-gram container of yogurt a day on average, and you switch to making it yourself, you would save around $1,500 per year. You would still have to make yogurt every other day, but the process is almost completely hands-off, and once you've done it a few times, you'll wonder why you ever paid for store-bought yogurt in the first place. And the best part is, you actually know what's in the food you're eating and how it was prepared. Even if the cost was break-even, that alone would make it worthwhile to me to make my own yogurt. If you've enjoyed this video, learned anything from it, or would just like to see more of my content, please consider subscribing. I'd really love to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I can't do it without you. Good luck with your yogurt making, and remember, nothing beats homemade.